Welcome back to another WrightStew Podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
And I am Brian WrightStew, and we made it to Tuesday morning, got through Monday, which is good. And yeah. So good sports coming up.
So I heard the Bengals, just another manic Monday on the radio yesterday morning, turned it up, got it going a little bit. Do you have, I have one song that is my favorite Tuesday song. Do you have a favorite Tuesday song or any that you know of?
Well, I'm pretty pathetic when it comes to my music. I really am. I mean, I don't have, sometimes, here's what I will do sometimes. It's a very personal story right here, Paul.
Let's hear it. Let's share, Brian. Let's open up.
Sometimes when I have something I want a yes answer to, I will flip around on the dial until I hear like a great song. And that great song will indicate yes to whatever my question is to the world or to God or however you want to look at it.
Okay.
And so that's a little weird little thing I do. But generally, I'm 80s, classic rock, a couple of rap songs that I like, 90s country, but I would say sometimes, Paulie, I will drive in the car in complete silence. I mean, for long periods of time and just listen to my own self, completely split personality conversation with myself.
That sounds like a psychopath.
Yeah, sometimes I've got two kids I can do it with. My son I can do it with, and my oldest daughter. My middle daughter, she really wants music. She'll put on her earbuds or whatever. But sometimes I'll just ride in complete and utter silence.
I picture it with a black coffee is the only drink that could go along with that.
Oh, for sure. You're debating all your life decisions, and you're pretty sure you made them all wrong, right? And then you just like, all right, I got to suck it up and get through this and keep going,
Oh, geez.
So what is your Tuesday song?
Oh, so Tuesday's Gone by Leonard Skinner.
Okay.
Tuesday's Gone with the Wind. It played at the end of Happy Gilmore.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
That's one. I'm sure there's others, but that's the one that I thought of. There's several Monday songs, a lot of Friday songs, but Tuesday's Gone by Leonard Skinner was the one I was thinking of. So speaking of Tuesday, if you're watching the stream, I've got my Garner Trojans 2024 state champion shirt on. This will be the first year in 6 years I do not have a high school softball player. And the Trojans actually opened their season today. Brian, I don't know if you saw this, but Max Preps has them ranked number 20 in the country.
Seems a little strong knowing what they lost.
They lost, but they've got a couple of really strong pitchers. They've got all-American level shortstop. She's going to Virginia Tech.
Oh, I thought she was gone.
No, she's still there, man. So I don't know if she was the state player of the year last year. She's certainly in consideration for it, but really strong. So they've got a good core coming back. They certainly lost some kind of senior leadership, but really excited for Garner Trojan softball and all things Garner. I'm a big homer for that for sure, but excited to have the high school season kicking off. College has been rolling. Spring training has been rolling, Brian. Spring training is
a lot of balls off the dome. A lot of balls off the dome here lately.
I saw one. Was there another?
There's another one. The guy took one off the face. Yeah. Took it like a man, and then eventually went down. I think it was the Padres game. I don't recall a name, but more balls off the dome. I think the wood, honestly.
The maple.
Now, I do think the college bats have gotten better. They're close to back to where they were when I played. I mean, the ball is jumping off. Baseball bat, bro. He goes through it and does it. The exit velos, especially with lower seam balls, they got lower seam balls in college now.
Okay.
And they're hard. The exit velos are getting back up there like when we came through as far as like the college bats.
Yeah.
But I think wood bats as well. Everybody is maple. Last guy, Joey Votto, was the last Ash guy in the MLB.
So everybody's using maple. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's maple, and those things, they're pretty hard.
Yeah. I remember that was just happening as I
was the maple guy, so I transitioned.
Yeah, for me there's still a lot of white ash, and but
I didn't really transition.
I could definitely see the difference. When I saw a guy come up with a maple bat as a pitcher, I was like, there was a little twinge in me. I was like, I don't like that.
Fan bats were big. Obviously, Barry Made them
Yeah,
big.
sandbats were big, and was actually talking to Rob Zorian the other day, the founder of Zorian Bats, and we're gonna have him on the pod here in the next couple weeks, but he'll be able to share more about maple bats and some of the ins and outs of that. So really interesting guy. Looking forward to talking with him. Um, but speaking of spring training, Brian, I was thinking back some of my spring training memories, and I don't know if you have anything like this, right? But my first spring training, I so for a lot of people out there, you think of spring training, you think of big league camp. There's also a minor league camp that is going on at the same time that gets far less like no coverage at all, really. But most places have your big league complex, and then down the street, across the street, very close proximity. They've got the traditional 4 fields and a half field, and then you've got all your double A, triple A, A ball, low A playing at the same time. And I remember my first camp, 1997. I'm in there and I'm at minor league camp, and I'm learning. I didn't understand anything. And I'm starting to kind of make some friends and get to know some people and kind of get comfortable. And then they have the first round of kind of big league guys getting moved down to minor league camp. So at the big league level, guys are trying to make the team, and usually they have like a couple rounds of, I guess, cuts. Some guys get released, some guys get sent down, and they'll end up on double A or triple A rosters. So I remember I'm sitting there, I've got my locker, and then they're like, "Hey man, cuts, tomorrow there'll be some guys coming into camp, and whatever." It's like, "All right, cool." So I show up the first day after the first cuts. I'm not getting cut, right? But guys are getting moved down, and my locker is gone. I'm like, and some guy named Alberto Reyes has taken my locker. So Alberto did not take my locker. The clubhouse attendant moved all of my stuff to the next locker beside me. I had to share a locker with a guy named Mark Gnurk.
You had to share a locker. That's so much crap, dude. I was
Gnurk shared a locker for the rest of spring training, and Alberto Reyes took my locker.
You were a high school kid too, man. They got to treat you better than
And
that.
that's what I thought. I was like, hey, I'm a sixth rounder. They gave me a bunch of money. I'm kind of a big deal around here.
And now I'm sharing lockers.
Nope. What a humbling experience. And I remember seeing Reyes, and at first I was like, this dude took my. Now I thought like more, sanely. I was like, he didn't take my locker. He didn't move my stuff, and he had no idea. Like he literally just showed up and his stuff was there, and me and Mark Gnurk just sharing a locker. But that was the last year we were in Chandler, Arizona. Then the Brewers moved to the facility they're in now in Maryville. It's kind of like a borough or a kind of area in West Phoenix. So
well, I just think it's so different now, Paulie. First of all, there's a lot less players there because there's a lot less team. They don't have high, low A, and short season, long season, and rookie ball, and so they don't have as many players. Number one. Number two, a lot of these facilities are brand new and super nice. We went and watched Houston last year, and dude, just super nice. The fields, the lower minor league fields were super nice. Everything was super nice, and a lot of the fields when we were coming through were still very 70s, 80s, and just had kind of that old school feel.
Man, yeah.
Nostalgia, but there's also some stink to that too. All the stuff now is super nice. And I sent you the video with the Padres not the Padres, the Pirates, pitchers and catchers.
Yeah.
Dude, everything is camera generated. They're talking about revolutions, per minute. They're talking about, you're getting how much drop are you getting on your splitter, changeups. It feels like it is analytics out the wazoo, and I'm sure results still matter at some point in time.
So much on we talked about my buddy who I pitched with. His son was in double A, and his son was he was sharing with me too. His son is like, they barely care about results anymore. It's all about velocity and movement, like you said, RPM, just all this other stuff. And his son's kind of an old school guy. He's like, it's kind of weird. Like they don't like. I want to win a ball game. Like he was.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would be curious.
I would be curious if you could take. I know there's been some organizations that have really completely sold out and went only analytics, and then I think there's maybe a handful that's still old school, and I don't know which ones. And then probably your best ones are somewhere in between. But man, winning there's something to being able to get a big hit in situations. There's something to be able to make that pitch when there's a little bit of pressure. And I don't know if you develop that just looking at a screen and saying, "Hey, Paul Stewart's got 6 inches of run on his two seam," you know.
Yeah, but then they tattoo it over the left field wall every time. Who cares? Yeah, I'm kind of.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, a lot of good players. Hey, I'm telling you, the metrics have changed. They had to have changed. I mean, every guy that I see, with a few, you see very few 6', 6'1" guys. I feel like you see like 5'8" guys, and you see like 6'3" and above guys. There's not a whole lot of in between. Obviously, those 5'8" guys a lot of times can really move thick and Altuve like. And then you have a lot of 6'2", even 6'6" guys. I mean, there's a lot more 6'6" like position players than I feel like there's ever been, as far as just watching spring training games.
Yeah, big guys, more athletic, and that's something I do appreciate more about the game now is they're allowing bigger guys. So I've always been a taller, bigger guy throughout my entire life. And I appreciate now that they're allowing the bigger guys to play shortstop, to play, second base if you want, whatever it is, right? Kyle Ripken kind of broke that mold a little bit. Alex Rodriguez certainly, but I remember my freshman year in high school, I was played shortstop, and said, "Hey, we're going to try it." So I went to shortstop. Like, no, you're going to first base, because I was like 6'2", 3", whatever at the time. I'm like, no, I'm a shortstop. I'm like, no, you're going to play first base. You're tall. And that was just how it was.
Well, I would say this,
but I feel a lot better. Yeah.
I would say we got to have some positions for the 6 foot tall guy. And let's keep y'all at the corners. Let's keep you at first base, third base. No, there's a lot of freaking 6'6" athletes, man. I didn't realize this is how stupid I was. L.A. De La Cruz.
Yeah, he's tall.
I think that's right.
Yeah, L.A.'s really tall.
And he's a switch hitter. Do you know that?
Yeah.
For some reason, I just had him as left-handed, dude. I didn't realize he hit a couple balls lefty and righty out of the ballpark. I mean, really good swings, Freaking juice.
Okay, so and I sent you this. Speaking of 6'6" athletes, the most famous 6'6" athlete of all time, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And so I sent you a thing of his minor league numbers today, and they were actually like better than I thought they were. 127 games, batted 202, hit 3 home runs, had 51 RBIs, scored 46 runs, had 88 hits, 17 of those were doubles, 1 triple, had 30 stolen bases. His all-base percentage was pretty low, 290, but yeah, hit 202. It's almost a 100-point delta.
Well, and I'm sure he made that Double-A. They set records for attendance and everything else. I'm sure they made bank.
But here's the thing people don't talk about. It's like he went from not having played, I think his last year he played was his junior year in high school, to going to Double-A. Like people say, oh, he went to the minors. He was terrible. Like when you're getting to Double-A, you're playing against some real guys. Like guys,
a lot of guys are going to make it in Double-A. I mean, Terry Francona was his manager. He had mentioned, or maybe he's third base coach, but he was involved, and dude, he talked about his work ethic, and he would have made it if baseball wasn't getting ready to strike. And in the process of that 94 season, I believe we probably would have had a situation where he may have continued on. He may have not went back to basketball. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around did he go play because of gambling, and it was kind of where he had a double secret probation suspension. I don't know that, but it was work ethic and the mind, dude. That's what I see, dude. Like even now with kids, as we get to older kids and we're helping coach the grade that we are, and I'm seeing some really good athletes and cage time, dude. Really balls jumping off. Then you get into games and what changes, and it's really that mindset of being able to take your soft toss or your T swing to your BP swing to your game swing and it not be terribly different. There's a lot of guys have a lot of difficulty with that. But man, MJ's mind clearly was. I'm convinced he would have made it to the big leagues and played for another 10 years if he'd have stuck it out.
Yeah. You and I played with guys who that's all they did was play baseball, and they couldn't hit 200.
Yeah.
in AA. Like that was their life. And he steps in and does, and not just he's not just a random dude, clearly. Like he had a lot of athletic ability. And like you said though, the thing that really differentiated him, you hear about that a lot with NBA was hey, a lot of guys were really talented. He wanted it. He wanted to win at everything. Like he was notoriously just, trying to win golf matches, card games, anything you possibly could win. That's who he was, and
So I got a question.
probably was a little annoying at times, but
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Especially you talk about cards. You talk about the toss of coins. Famously during the Last Dance, he's got the little guy with the white hair that's
yeah,
like the security guy, and he's like, "Hey, 4 to 1," And so he starts doing this after he makes it or whatever, gets closer to the wall. But I think it's hard to say, man. I've always wondered, like, competitors. It really is environmental, I think, when it comes to how competitive you are, right? What those situations are when you're extremely young. Obviously, MJ had his brother. He was always competing against.
yeah.
And I don't know, I think competitiveness is one of those things that's hard to develop. You can develop a lot of other things, but competitiveness, I'm not sure you can develop it.
It's gonna be hard. It's a hardwired. Yeah, I mean, there's ways to develop it, but I think sometimes you just have to. It's just
Well, as a parent, look
who
at
you
it
are. Yeah.
from a parental standpoint. I don't know, what can you do then? That's an interesting conversation. I mean, what can you do to make your kids more competitive? If that's a question.
Hold food out from them. I like at our house we have a ranking list right by the door, so every day the kids know where they rank, and they're trying to get to the number
I
one
don't believe
spot.
that. You're too good a father. That's something that may happen in my house. My kids are convinced that there is one in our house, but you're too good a person for people to think that about you.
Uh,
But as a parent, I just don't know what you can do. I think you can put them in situations where they fail, which can develop that kind of grit that you need.
yeah,
But
and I think it's different for you and I too, though. And I'll speak for myself. Like I I don't live through my kids at all. Like I want the absolute best for them. I want to help them achieve. And maybe that's to their detriment. They're all really competitive and all really care and want to win and have that drive. But it's never been something that I have like tried to like I've wanted
so it's never been anything that you don't think it's anything you can instill or
no
not instill.
like I do all I can to help prepare them for games and practices and go out and help them athletically or academically where I can, right? But I, they all, at least the older three, the older one's still playing coach pitch and t-ball, but the older three, man, just really competitive. They want to win. They want to go out there and be their best, and part of it's because they work hard. They understand that they're probably doing a little more than most kids are, and so they expect more out of themselves, right? And some of it's just holding yourself to a higher standard. So I think that's part of it, right? So you put the time in, you want to see the results. So
So do you think you're born with it, or do you think it's developed?
I think it's
Environmental.
I think you're born with a certain level of it, but I think a lot of it is environmental. Like we didn't have to have our kids play sports. Like some of that's us guiding them towards those things, and they pick it up and love it, right? And just like just like musicians' families, why do their kids play instruments, right? It's their environment, right?
Maybe sometimes though, you see these little kids, and it's like, dude, there's something special about this kid playing the blues at 6 years old and play the guitar. I can tell you this: instrumental. I played saxophone from 6th to 8th grade. Not great, but I'll say I did not. I mean, I tried to play the guitar when I was like in the off season sometimes, or my first off season when I was home from minor
I
league
think every
ball.
baseball player has tried to play the guitar. Like I
And
think,
it was not in me, dude. It was not. I mean, I could play La Bamba for a bit. Now I could
yeah.
begin to even. I could figure out how to hold it. That's about it. And so I do think, at least musicians, I feel like you're born with that a little bit. I mean, that's almost a God-given gift, and not that
Yeah.
being athletes isn't either, but being competitive and athlete, I think it's kind of two different things. And I was just wondering what you thought about being developed, or I think it's environmental in a lot of cases in those situations. I would definitely concur. I don't live through my kids, but I do want them to be able to achieve the level of success that they verbally express, right? If they want to get to this level, I can help you do that, but I may have to push you at times when you don't want to do something because I have a better idea of what you need to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the wisdom and the perspective that we have from going through what we did. I know how much I did, how much I didn't do. Things that you young people have access and the ability to do now much more than we did. We didn't have YouTube to go on and like
Oh,
look
dude,
at
there's
drills.
so much knowledge
Yeah.
out there.
We didn't have people breaking down. So we didn't have people doing like pitching and hitting lessons back then. Like that was.
I mean, you had
that
Tom
wasn't
Amesky or whatever with his goofy
Tom
drills out
Amansky.
there.
Tom Amansky was. If I had gotten the Fred McGriff had talked my parents into buying those videos, I might have got to the big leagues. Gotten past AAA. Yeah, those Tom Amansky videos were the best. All right, I got one question before we head out, Brian. One question for you.
All right.
So we talked about spring training, bright sunny days out in Phoenix and Florida. What are your thoughts and feelings on eye black? Were you an eye black guy?
No, I wasn't. I wanted to be because I thought it looked cool, but I sweated like a wildebeest, especially in my athletic days, even when I wasn't fat. I just could never. It never felt like it helped me.
Okay.
I mean, the idea was, hey, it reflects. You don't have the same glare. I don't know. I mean, I felt like at times that sun was super bright and hot down there. I remember in Florida, dude. You obviously grew up playing ball. I mean, my forearms never burned in North Carolina. They would burn down there and actually peel, which was weird to me.
Yeah.
I was not a sunscreen guy. I feel like I'm too cool for sunscreen. Obviously, my face looks good because of ignoring those rules. But on the flip side, I'm not an eye black guy. I like to wipe my face too much, and it doesn't look good after 3 minutes.
Yeah, I went to the dermatologist the other day, and I was chastised for not using sunscreen. So we've got to hold each other accountable this summer.
Well, I just don't think. I think the damage is done now, right? I mean,
I don't think
dude. I'm not trying. Hey, Paul, I want to be clear on this podcast and honest with everybody. I'm trying to let everything die at the same time. My mind, my organ. Obviously, skin's your biggest organ. I have been educated on that. And so it's on us. It's on us. Definitely, it don't have 45 more years. So I'm past half life. I'm convinced of that. But I'm trying to let everything kind of die all at one time. And I feel like I'm doing a good job trying to keep everything even, chewing a little tobacco to keep that, just in case you need to be exited early.
Get the mouth, the skin cancer.
But hey, I keep hearing nicotine is good for you now. I mean, everything I read, nicotine is great for the mind. I mean, I don't know. Is that hitting your algorithm or is it just mine?
No, I'm not a tobacco guy at all, so I don't think.
No, just nicotine, not that.
I think you told me about it. I think is where I heard about it.
I hope it comes up on your Instagram feed now.
They say there's nicotine in like tomatoes.
Oh yeah, I have heard that.
And I love tomatoes. Garden fresh tomato in the summer is nothing beats that. But so eye black. So MythBusters, the very famous show, they did an episode on it. They determined that eye black does not eliminate glare, but it does improve the athlete's ability to differentiate between light and dark, enhancing the player's ability to track moving objects in a sunny environment.
Well, I think if I would have read that or known that at the time, I think I probably would have done it. I mean, anything to get an advantage. I was willing to do almost anything within the rules and maybe even bend them at times. And so
yeah, but it was I think I worked like in high school and stuff.
I think like I said, I think I may have a little bit when I was younger, but never like once I realized I like doing that, and then it was on putting your arm and wiping your sweat. But if I'd have known there was a little bit of a chance of it giving me advantage, like the MythBusters have proven, I think I probably would have done it now.
Yeah, but they say the stickers are pointless.
That's interesting because it feels like they would do the same thing.
There's something about the oil or the grease, whatever it is, the petroleum that I don't know.
I don't know. Some of the eye black has gotten out of control, dude. It's almost black face.
Yeah. Like
I mean, dude, a big old triangle down. Like I don't know, dude. I don't know.
And I've seen this in salt. And I made fun of my daughter last year for doing it because they have eye black. That's essentially like white or pink or blue, like it's all different colors, and then it has like glitter in it, and I'm like the whole intent is to not have glare, and you're like that should encourage
It's
glare.
almost like just war paint or makeup.
Yeah.
Hey, in our middle school, I think this is a little bit too much. In our middle school, dude, it has to be just one single line. If there's anything down on the face, they make you take it completely out, or they'll kick you out of the game. Really, 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 really strict on the rules. I think that's dumb. I like kids to have fun. If they want to do it, I don't think it looks great. But if a kid wants to do it, I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Well, I remember last year our middle school boys, they had like pink eye black, and the umpire made it was like it can only be black. And I was like,
okay,
huh, all right, well,
thanks
for that.
I almost saw there's a guy on YouTube, and I'm gonna send this to you, and maybe we should both read it. The guy does like a 40-minute YouTube video on the MLB like book, like all the rules.
Oh, the rule book.
And so goes into complete depth, all these obscure rules and all this other stuff. It's kind of interesting. I feel like it's something that I feel like you probably have already read the rule book and have like taken notes on it.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Well, I told you I used to do that because we always kept one in the dugout. So the manager, and I don't know if every team did it. I remember we always had one in the dugout. So my manager for a few years, a guy named Frank Kremlis, really sharp guy. I think managed I got to AAA for a few years, and I don't think he ever made it to the big, but really sharp guy. Really, really liked him. But he always kept a rule book in the dugout because it's like, hey, well, we may need it one game. And so, you're a starting pitcher. You're not doing a chart. I would just sit there and like kind of thumb through it, read the rules, and chew my Bazooka Joe and collect my little comics and try to win free T-shirts by collecting all the comics. That was my life.
Oh, I love it. So you have read the entire rule book.
Yeah, kind of like reading the Bible cover to cover, read the rule book cover to cover. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so impressed with that, dude. I mean,
knocking it out. Yeah. What else are you gonna do, right? Warm something. That's one more thing, Ryan. One more, I promise. Then I'm done. So we went and saw some softball this weekend, and I really miss, and maybe this is the Paul get off my lawn kind of guy. I miss going to the game and hearing Cheap Seats by Alabama, Boys of Summer by Don Henley, just ballpark songs. We were at my daughter's softball game. Felt like I was in a freaking club, just and loud, a lot of. Some of the songs weren't like super appropriate either for like kids in the stands sort of thing. I'm like, that's not. I mean, they weren't using like profanity, but the song.
We were playing at a middle school field just Sunday, and with our middle school team, and it was like I knew the words to some songs, but they left some vulgarity in. I was really surprised. It was a high school field. And so the high school announcers and Cheap Seats, those two songs you mentioned, dude, I mean, there's nothing better than BP, those songs come on, and you got no other worries whether you're going to be a start pitcher for the day, or all you got to do is go figure out how to get some hits. Dude, I can still remember those feelings, dude, and even being a Kinston, no crowd unless it's Thirsty Thursday, beautiful field, the actual grass.
Great
playing surface, top notch.
Cinder block walls for the wall.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure everybody pre-World War II played there at some point in time.
Yeah. I played there in high school.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful, playing surface. And but yeah, dude, that song come on, and it just doesn't get any better now. And you don't realize I didn't realize in the moment. Like, I enjoyed it. It kind of puts you in the mood. But now looking back, it's like, you hear that song and it takes me back for sure.
Man, what a great tune. So, hey, if you don't know the song, Cheap Seats by Alabama, classic minor league song, song about the minor leagues. Just wonderful, wonderful song. Love that song. So go out and check that out. So that's all we got for you today. We've got Cheap Seats. Listen to that one. Tuesday's Gone by Leonard Skinner. That'll get your day going. Clearly after you listen to the podcast, but make sure you check out those songs. Otherwise, hey, go tell a friend. Go tell a friend about the WrightStew Podcast. Let them know that you enjoy it. They'll enjoy it as well. Otherwise, have a great day.
Out. Go Pack. 3 and 4.